Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect. This is episode 261 being recorded on Sunday, July 29th, 2018. I'm David Lott. Joining me for this episode is Michelle Hillard.
Hello everybody. Hello.
By the way, this podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, the iHeartRadio app, and YouTube. And by the way, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we would greatly appreciate a review in iTunes. Reviews do a lot to help us reach more listeners. So thank you for that. If you're able to do that.
Yes.
Also, our apologies. It's been a little while since our last episode.
I mean, we've done some online videos on YouTube.
We done. I was going to get to that, but it has, for the audio podcast, it's been a couple weeks or more, mainly because of Comic-Con. We had Comic-Con drop here in the middle or late July, and we're kind of getting prepped for that. We missed a week, and then we didn't record any audio shows while we were at Comic-Con. But for those of you who follow us on Facebook and on YouTube, we posted some video. We did some video work while we were out there. So if you haven't checked those out yet, go over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Flicker Effect, and we've got some stuff. We've actually got one more coming still to post. But other than that, we've got about 3 videos from San Diego.
Pretty awesome videos.
Pretty stellar video work.
They're pretty awesome.
And we've also posted those on Facebook, I believe. So check that out.
They're everywhere.
But anyway, it's just Michelle and I tonight. Unfortunately, Yasha and Bobby could not be here tonight. We will hopefully be recording another podcast in the next few days. And when we do that, we'll be reviewing a big movie that came out this weekend, Mission Impossible Fallout.
I'm so excited.
This is my way of saying that we will not be talking about Mission Impossible Fallout during this episode, unfortunately.
No.
We might talk about some box office numbers, but we won't be reviewing the film quite yet, though we have seen it.
Yes, no, we've seen it, and Bobby and Yash have too, and I really want to see what their take is on things, and we want to. I'd like to record that one with them. I'm curious to hear their thoughts too. We haven't talked to them about it. We've talked about it with each other, but a little bit. I mean, very briefly.
Very briefly.
Mostly just how pretty people look in it.
Yeah, this is true. Did we though talk about that much? Really?
I mean there's some beautiful people in that film.
Yeah.
I have girl crushes on some of them. It's cool. It's cool things.
I'm with you.
Anyways.
I have girl crushes on some of them too.
Do you? Girl crushes.
But this episode, we're going to be kind of just sitting back, having a conversation about our Comic-Con experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Comic-Con was last weekend. It was last weekend, right?
Yes.
It feels like it's even been longer than that, but I'm like, no, we got back. It was this past Monday we flew back.
Yeah, I'm blaming it on kind of just the time change and jet lag. I feel like this whole week I've been crazy off. For one, at Comic-Con, it's not like we are on anything even remotely close to a normal sleep schedule or the length of time that I think our bodies are traditionally used to. Because we stay up way too late and we get up way too early.
We do, but at the same time, Comic-Con for you and I, East Coast people, Comic-Con works out in a way in that, at least the way I experience Comic-Con is always I want to be up early and I want to get to the convention center early. And then I kind of want to get to bed at a reasonable hour to get at least some sleep. So in that respect, like being on East Coast time works because I'm getting up early. Like if I were going out to San Diego to basically experience Dragon Con, that would be a whole nother story.
Oh, God.
That would be a nightmare.
I don't even know if we'd ever recover.
Yeah, because
that would be like a month of recovery.
That is an opposite schedule where basically you sleep until noon or later. And then you're up until 3 or 4 in the morning at various themed parties. Right. Comic-Con, there's no doubt. There is a side of San Diego Comic-Con where there's a lot of parties, like industry parties and such, that I've never been to. I've never been to a party at Comic-Con.
We were very close to it. We definitely thought about it. There was definitely the opportunity to on the Saturday night.
Yeah,
and I know we toyed with it.
The Zachary Levi party, right? Is that what
the Zachary Levi party.
That's what you're referring to.
I am. My man crush.
Your man crush. Wait, it's going to be the theme of the night, crushes?
Yeah. No, I mean, he announced earlier in the week that he was going to be throwing a party, but he didn't have any of the details of where it was going to be at. And then he announced basically as the weekend got closer, like he would be saying on Twitter, you know, what time, where it was, and he slowly released that information, which is smart. Honestly, it keeps the numbers to a reasonable amount.
Right.
But he wound up having it at Tin Roof there in the Gaslamp District.
Right.
Gaslamp.
And then,
area.
yeah, one of the things that somewhat took away from the idea of like, oh, should we go, is like, we have a tin roof here.
Yeah.
You know, part of me was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, that would be a whole different way to experience tin roof, but
oh no, it would be insane. It would be a lot of fun.
It would
I
be,
also
but
just think like by the time he finally made the announcement for the location, because he made the time announcement earlier in the day, but by the time he finally made the announcement for the specific location, I think we had basically been in our lift for about 5 minutes, and I was like, well, we're not turning around. I was like, that's done.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think at some point, at some year, I feel like in the cons in the future, I feel like we'll kind of have things planned out a little smidge better. And we might actually get to a party the next time we go. I think that would be a lot of fun, but it's definitely not like a top priority thing more there. I mean, we're there to walk the floor. We're there to see panels. Like this, I mean, this is a fun hobby. Like we love doing this show, but when we go there, it's almost like work. Like we coordinate and we plan and we do things and we're having a ton of fun while we're doing it. But like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know. Our time is kind of, in a weird way, kind of planned out. Like, yeah. And then like at the end of the night, like we're looking over footage and we're talking about things that got announced during the day. And then you know, you've done some editing and stuff like, I mean, like it's a thing. Like it's a thing. It takes up time. And so going to a party, as much fun as it would be, and I am sure it'd be awesome, it just kind of is a lower part of the totem pole in a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. If for some reason we've got an invite to a party that, you know, was like, oh, wow, there's going to be certain people here and such, I'd go.
Right.
That hasn't happened. And I haven't like gone out of my way to like, man, I want to try to get into this party or that party this year. It's just, I don't know. It is a very different experience from the experience we're going to have in about a month or more when we go to Atlanta.
Yeah. We'll get our partying demons out then.
Oh yeah. that is like the opposite experience from Comic-Con.
Basically.
But yeah. Basically my first question for you is, this was your first full con?
Yeah, first time I had a badge for the entirety of every day, including preview night Wednesday night.
And I have to imagine that you have, you know, some ideas of what experiencing San Diego Comic-Con would be like. I mean, how, just generally, without going in, you don't have to go into a ton of detail yet. We're going to cover a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff we saw, but how was it?
It was awesome. I mean, I'll get into the like what happened during the con a little bit more, but I would say overall I had a really enjoyable time. It was nice kind of just having the badge for the entire time, because it was kind of easy to go, oh well, there's this one kind of random panel on Thursday that I think would be kind of cool to go to, and then just know that, yep, I can just go to it, no problems. And then it's, you know, you kind of plan out Friday a little bit and Saturday. I don't know. It was just nice more having the freedom, knowing like, yep, I have the freedom to go and do. I don't feel like I was having the times I've had just the Sunday badge. I felt like I have to cram what I can cram into this one day, and having all this other time, I'm like, yeah, we can walk the floor whenever. It's cool. Like I never felt any pressure to like really like get in there.
Right.
Do what you can.
Right.
So it was nice to not have that pressure on me in a way. It was nice to just basically do whatever the hell I wanted to.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
No, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, I know you've been dying to go for a while now, and yeah, you had been there before with us.
To go in this capacity.
To go in this capacity of like, you have all 4 days plus preview night and being able to pick and choose whatever you want. Like,
yeah, I will say preview night was way busier than I thought preview night was going to be.
Yeah,
Holy
the first
cow.
year I went, I had the same response because I never really asked around. Like, I mean, I probably could have asked Bobby ahead of time. He's experienced preview night, I'm pretty sure, in the past before that year, whatever year that was for me. And I never asked him. I just never asked. I just kind of always assumed, because even when you're buying badges as a regular attendee, preview nights sells out easily more quickly than any of the other single days. And I always was like, oh, it's more limited, it's preview night. If you're lucky enough to get the badge to that, it's like, it's going to be walking the floor, but there's going to be all this space and it's not going to be that crowded. And then that first year I did preview night, I'm like, this is just like almost like any other day. It felt like it was crazy packed.
I would venture to say the couple times we went into the floor on Saturday after we were done with panels, like I was like, Saturday, I was like, oh wow, I wouldn't dare say it was dead, but I was like, I have breathing room everywhere I go. Like I felt like I wasn't just bumping into bodies every single turn every time I moved my body. Like Wednesday night was packed.
Yeah, I mean, we have friends. We both know somebody who actually has a booth at con every year, and we spoke to them, and they would be the perfect people to talk to about it, as people who are out there on the floor the entire time.
Right.
And yeah, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they definitely said like Saturday seemed like slowest for them so far.
Yeah.
Preview night was really busy, and I forget if they said how Thursday and Friday was.
They said Thursday was pretty busy, and they said Friday was. They said probably the slowest day was Saturday, and then Friday was kind of behind it, which makes sense, especially with this year. And I would say maybe other years they probably didn't experience a slower Friday, but this year I would understand because of the panels that were happening in Hall H and in Ballroom 20 on Friday. It's so bizarre, and we'll get into it, but basically like Friday was the more stuff day. There's just cooler stuff on Friday than there usually is, and usually Saturday's the cool stuff day, and it felt like it was like almost in a way almost flip-flopped this con. And so yeah, no, it's not surprising to me that even their Friday was kind of like, oh, Friday was kind of chiller.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, I will say this year's the first year I experienced anything basically outside of Hall H on Saturday. And we'll get into our Hall H experience in a little bit, but yeah, we did do Hall H Saturday morning for the Warner Brothers panel. But of every year I've been at con, I have been in Hall H the entire day.
Yeah, you live in it.
And I think there was one time, because you can get a pass to leave Hall H for the length of a particular panel, so you can like go out to the lobby and maybe use the restrooms out there or do whatever you want, and then you just have to be back before the panel ends. And I think I've done that where maybe I took a pass and I went out into the floor for a little bit but otherwise I've always just spent Saturday in that room completely. And this year we had like half the day to still like kind of do other things.
Yeah,
and
by
walk the
lunch
floor.
we were basically out.
So even just walking the floor on a Saturday was kind of a new experience for me. And yeah, I think I was kind of surprised that it wasn't crazier. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still There's still a lot of people out there.
I just felt like I didn't feel like I was just in the herd and going with the wave. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was like, oh, if I wanted to pause for a hot second and actually make a decision on the direction in which I wanted to go, I wasn't literally turning into another human being. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. But overall, I had a good con. I enjoyed it. I mean, because I've seen a lot of reaction in general reaction from other outlets of like, oh, this was a disappointing con. And I get it. And when you're really just looking at con as a place for news, like what news broke. And there wasn't a lot of big news that broke. I mean, probably the biggest news that broke really had nothing to do with the con. And
that's very true.
And we might get to that in this episode. I don't know. If not, we'll do it in the next episode. But that's the James Gunn news. Other than that, it's not like Marvel was there, revealing anything huge. And even though Warner Brothers had a great panel, which I know you really enjoyed.
No, it was probably the highlight of my entire trip.
And I totally get that, because Warner Brothers always puts on a great show. As great of a show as it wasn't like Warner Brothers dropped anything that we didn't know about it.
No, there was nothing unexpected. The only thing that I could say it was unexpected, and I had kind of expected it, was to get a sliver of footage from Wonder Woman. otherwise there was no like new information. There was no announcements of any films that we had not even begun to hear whispers of, like nothing of that caliber.
Right. Nothing like that at all.
Down.
And they've done that kind of thing in the past, but they definitely did not this year. So yeah, in terms of big like movie news or film news, or television news, there's really not much out of the con. But I think it's unfortunate to just go, oh well, it wasn't a good con this year. Like, and I think that's kind of poo-pooing a lot of people who probably had a great con experience.
Right. No, totally.
And just because there wasn't some crazy announcement about like a whole slew of new Marvel films or new DC films doesn't mean it was a bad con. Like I enjoyed myself. I mean, sure, if Marvel had been there, that would have been great.
And I mean, the thing is Marvel had announced weeks before that they were not coming. So that wasn't like it was a shock that they weren't coming. The way I look at this con, and I don't think it was a bad con. I still had an enjoyable time. I still liked it. I think it was still a lot of fun. I think in a weird way, this con was a little more or less pressure in a weird way of what expectations were, because I knew Marvel wasn't coming, and I just kind of seeing what the panel lists were. It was like, okay, I feel like this was a little bit of a lighter con, and in a weird way, I feel like it might have been almost like it's like a rebuilding year, like a not rebranding per se, but it's almost like I don't know. I feel like they're kind of like going, okay, this year we're kind of easing it up, because in a weird way, my head's kind of like, are they maybe like going, this year kind of easy, because next year, whoa, baby, do we know what's happening? I don't know. Like, it was almost like, it was kind of a calmer con. Not bad, just more chill, I think. As far as expectations go, I think everybody kind of breathed a little bit more. That makes sense. And
we're, of course, everyone experiences con but definitely from very different perspectives,
Oh yeah.
All the people that the different outlets that I've been watching or listening to or reading that have been saying things like, oh, it was disappointing con, are definitely more like film, television news kind of outlets. And we could sit down with somebody here who is a collectibles guy, or, somebody who loves toys and stuff, and they would give a completely different experience on con, because they are experiencing con on a completely different level. They are there for the stuff on the floor and the exclusives, and they could very easily sit here and go, oh my god, are you crazy? This was an insane con. Hasbro announced this, and Mattel announced that, and Hot Toys had this. Like,
yeah, I think the collectibles is still a solid venue that's happening there on the floor, and there's constantly newer things being added by different companies all of the time. But I mean, Funko was insanity. Like, the entire time we were there, like, Funko would basically sell out within their first 2 hours of the floor being open. Yeah, every single day.
Funko, I've noticed, like, the past couple years or more, like, yeah, then there were actually exclusives from them this year that I was like, oh man, I would get those. We tried. They were definitely a part of the new exclusives portal on the Comic-Con website, and you basically had to attempt to get a position at a certain time to go buy stuff from them, and it was like a lottery system, and we both tried, and both of us basically got nothing. I got nothing. You actually got a Lego exclusive.
I got a Lego exclusive, which I didn't partake in because, honestly, and it's a cool Lego exclusive. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. I have zero use for it. I don't really collect Legos. And I'm not saying that I don't like Legos. I just don't collect them. I have no use for it. So it was just kind of like, oh, well, I'm good. It's cool. But Funko had a killer time.
Yeah, but part of me is like thinking about Funko. It's like, I wonder when that bubble's going to pop of... Like, Funko is like, I feel like Funko is reaching really like peak popularity. Like,
because you can get them everywhere now.
Oh, you totally can. And I mean, everywhere. I mean,
Amazon, you can get them on Amazon. They have them everywhere. They are everywhere.
Yeah. And I love them. Hey, there's a wall here right behind me.
And you have 3 shelves
of Funko.
Funko.
And that's nothing compared to what most people have. But still, I like them. I'm just saying, like, man, I wonder how long that popularity is going to last.
But I mean, this in other terms, this con was really successful in a lot of the con nerdy fashion world. Huge things were being announced, especially in the Her Universe line.
Right.
with, and now my brain just totally died on me, the brand that is, it's my wallet too, dang it. Anyways, so they announced a ton of stuff with specifically with her universe in the Star Wars realm and within the Disney / Pixar realm. Huge line got shown at their fashion show. Everybody's losing their crap. I'm not gonna lie to you, the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
there's definitely two wallets. There's definitely two wallets, and I'm like, God, those wallets are sweet. But even the clothing is a lot different. They dropped some major stuff, and people basically lost their shit. And the funny thing is they didn't drop it till Sunday, and it's hilarious because the Her Universe booth was pretty dead. Like on Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we saw the Her Universe the booth on Sunday, and that line was the longest. I have never seen that line that long. It was packed. Now, mind you, I know people are trying to get rid of stuff on Sundays, but because of all the releases they announced that morning at the fashion show, oh man, I was like, that line was long, dude. Like to buy stuff, it was insane. So there's other aspects of the con that were very successful this year, extremely successful, you know? So. And
that was a different experience for me too, or at least it had been a while Sunday, because normally I am needing to leave San Diego like Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening to either fly out or to go up to Orange County or LA. This year we stayed in San Diego Sunday night and we weren't flying out till Monday. So it's like, nice. Normally I'm leaving basically the con like halfway through Sunday, but this year it was like, no, we're just going to experience it right up until 5:00, which is when the con officially is
like basically over. We have lunch and then we all peace out.
And we walked the floor, I think until about 4:30 or 4:45, and then we walked out, and I mean, they were definitely doing the announcements of like, okay, like 30 minutes ago, like time to wrap things up. And when you experience the floor on Sunday, it's definitely, if you're a shopper, if you're definitely there to buy things, you can get some great deals and stuff when some of the collectible exhibitors and such are just like, they want to push stuff. They don't want to carry it back wherever they have to go.
Right.
They're just trying to sell.
They're trying to sell as much as they can so they don't incur as much shipping costs, or even if they have like a box truck, they're lightening their load. Like basically they're just trying to get rid of as much as they possibly can get rid of before they actually pack it up, which I totally get. Like,
oh yeah, you can definitely snag some good deals on stuff when you're walking around the floor at the end of the day on Sunday. And I hadn't experienced that the last time I did that was the first time I ever went to con, which was only on a Sunday, like back in, I want to say it was like 2003 or 2004 or something. Oh. The only way I can easily remember that was back in I remember Lord of the Rings was a big thing then. Those movies were still coming out. And
that was before the third one was released.
It was definitely before the third one. It might have been before Two Towers. I can't remember if Two Towers had come out yet or not. Whatever year that was, I went. But anyway. But yeah, overall I had a good con. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
We saw some good stuff. We did end up going into Hall H. If you watched our Comic-Con prep show that we did on YouTube. Before we did a little prep show on YouTube before we left, kind of talking about the stuff we were looking forward to and anticipating. And if you watch that, we talked about how we weren't really planning on doing Hall H for various reasons. We just didn't think we were going to want to spend a night in line, because Saturday, as great as Warner Brothers is, Saturday was the blandest day I've seen in Hall H in a long time. Like
in years.
Basically after Warner Brothers, there was nothing that
we were interested in. Let me be clear. There's still interesting, cool things.
Yeah, there's still good things. I'm just saying for Hall H. I mean, there was stuff in that room that part of me was like, is this even Hall H worthy? Like, this feels like a Ballroom 20 kind of panel or something. And there was really not much. I mean, there was a Deadpool 2 panel, and Deadpool 2's been out for
It was so bizarre
months.
To me.
Like, it's about to drop on Blu-ray, or has it already? I don't even know.
I think it's on digital. I think it's literally a week away from a
digital release.
I think it's literally on digital as of this coming Tuesday, if I remember, right?
Maybe. I don't know. It's soon. Anyway, yeah, it was a bland day, and we had decided, we're not going to spend the night in line. But long story short, we were able to get into the room. And we were able to do Hall H basically most of the day Friday. And Friday was a big day there.
Friday was a big day.
And we were able to go to the Warner Brothers panel Saturday morning.
We basically lived in Hall H on Friday, though, for the most part, honest to God. I think we bounced out for lunch, and then we were basically right back in it.
And we saw a lot of good stuff on Friday. We saw what was the first panel we went to?
It was Dr. Horrible sing-along reunion.
Yeah, that was good, though. It was kind of funny. So it was Dr. Horrible sing-along reunion, right?
Reunion. Keyword there being reunion.
And when I saw that on the panel schedule, I mean, I don't think I read the description in detail, but I was like, okay, reunion. This is going to be like the full cast, right? Like everybody.
And I did read it, who they were expecting. Okay. And there was one name that was left out of it. And I was like, okay, that one name's out. And that's kind of, well, it's interesting.
But this is Dr. Horrible, and your title character, played by Neil Patrick Harris, was not there. Right. And there was a couple other actors that weren't there. You only had 3 people, one of them being the director, Joss Whedon.
Right.
And the other 2 were Felicia Day and Nathan Fillion.
Right.
And they were great. A very entertaining panel, but it was just kind of like just the 3 of them on stage taking questions, and again, very entertaining. I had a good time.
It was a fun warm up to the day.
It was a fun warm up, but I was like, oh, really? This is it?
Well, I mean, even because they had also said that basically, and now I can't. Jed Whedon, right? Is his name Jed? Joss's brother.
Oh yes, I believe it is Jed.
So Jed Whedon and his wife, who were the co-writers for the film, I guess, or series, or the co-writers were supposed to go there. And then also, what's his name, who's in Big Bang Theory, and my head just totally lost it. Anywho, so he's in it. Well, he wasn't there, and then Jed Whedon and his wife weren't there. And I can't remember her name, and I'm really sorry. I'm really horrible. But they were all listed as going. And so when it was like, oh, wow, it's even smaller than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, wow, it's really even smaller. I mean, on the upside, at least Nathan Fillion was there, Felicia Day was there, and Joss Whedon was there. I was literally in the same room as Joss Whedon. Not even just was I in the room with Joss Whedon, whom I love. I was feet away from Joss Whedon. Anyhow, so close to the stage. It was awesome. Yeah, I was losing my mind.
That was definitely an experience I never had before.
I've never had that experience. And so to be like, Joss Whedon, I could see the sweat on his face, and not the sweat on his face via the screen. I can see the sweat on his head. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm in the same room as Joss Whedon. Like, right. I was losing it a little bit. I was fangirling pretty hard.
But yeah, that was fun. And then after that was Fear the Walking Dead from AMC, and then Walking Dead.
Yep.
I mean, there's not a lot to talk about there, especially for me, because I'm not watching those shows. I've never seen Fear the Walking Dead. I haven't been watching The Walking Dead for few seasons now, and I had nothing against it. I mean, there's been a part of me then in these past few seasons that's kind of like, oh, I'm not a part of the conversation anymore, and it's kind of a bummer. And I love horror films, and I like zombies, but I don't know. I don't have to get into it too much, but the show got to a point where I was just like, I'm losing interest, and I jumped out.
But there was a good announcement in that panel.
Which one? Wait, what am I missing?
Andrew Lincoln.
Oh, well, yeah. And because
they hadn't officially announced that.
They hadn't officially announced it, though. I think one of the showrunners or writers had pretty much said it. And he alluded to that. He was like, I know this has already been kind of said because of whatever. And that person apologized. And he's like, no, it's cool. But
he was like the elephant in the room.
He officially said, like, yeah, this is my last season coming up, which I think is coming in October. Mm-hmm. So this is probably his last
5th.
Hall H panel for Walking Dead anyway. And, you know, he got a standing ovation, and that was cool. And he's great. He came over to the press pit cage area afterwards and was taking selfies with guys and stuff. He was great.
Which I will say, and not to just jump away from the panel itself, but I will say this is the first year, and you've had access to do this every year, but this is the first year you took the privilege with our press badges to actually utilize the press pit.
This is my first year experiencing Hall H from basically right next to the stage, right to the side of the stage. Which
you've had the opportunity to use.
Yeah, I just had never done that before. And, you know, we were trying to shoot a lot more video this year, which, as I talked about earlier, you know, if you go to YouTube, you can see some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good video, guys. You got to check it out.
So, yeah, I experienced it from the press cage, as they call it. Mm-hmm. And it was different. It was fun. It was great. I mean, shit, you're right there. And the casts are walking in and off the stage, like right where we are. So, no, it was cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. And yeah, he came over and like took photos and stuff with us, and probably thinking we were just like fans, which we are. We're all fans,
basically.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he took some selfies with some people. Like, you could see it on your footage. Like, he was taking selfies. Like, I think it's because this is kind of a final bow for him. Like, if he's ever back in Hall H again, it's not going to be for Walking Dead. It'll be for a film he does or another TV series he does. It's not going to be a Walking Dead panel. And I think that's kind of bittersweet for him.
Yeah, which he will certainly do. He's not retiring, but he definitely sounds like he's taking a little break. Like, he needs to spend time with family back in England. And
this has been the last 10 years of his life. Full commitment.
He's going to take a break, and well deserved. And he's been great on that show, even though I haven't been watching it lately. But we skipped out on the Star Trek Discovery panel that was in there because we are not caught up.
Mostly because we're behind on that show, and we just don't want to be spoiled by anything.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a part of me that we were in the room, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, like, I'll just sit through it and it'll be spoiled, but whatever. It's my own fault, and I'll still enjoy it. There's, I mean, just because you hear spoilers for certain things doesn't mean it ruins the experience. I would still go back and watch the season and probably very much enjoy it. But at the same time, it was like we had the opportunity to leave and come back, and we needed to eat lunch, and it was like, well, might as well do it during this.
The timing worked out that it was like, we might as well just take our break, go eat lunch during this panel, because it would have been fine to have gotten some spoilers, but it just worked out. It worked out well, and I don't feel like I really missed out a ton on that. And it's not because it's not a good show or because those are spectacular actors and writers and producers. It's just, I don't know. For me, I need to finish off the show. I need to finish off the season. I need to watch it.
We came back, though, and this is not something I would normally mention because there's no news here, but Comic-Con regularly every year. I don't know if it's always on Friday. Sometimes I think it's been on Saturday. They do a thing called Trailer Park. It's basically they for 30 minutes or more, or I think an hour almost, they just show trailers. You know, and it's nothing like, new trailers you haven't seen before. It's just trailers for upcoming stuff, and you get to kind of watch it with the rest of the Hall H, group. And it's actually kind of entertaining to see the stuff that people react to more than others. Some stuff really gets a lot of reaction, and some stuff is like, oh wow, no one in this room cares. Like, the thing that comes to mind is Mortal Engines. I remember of all the trailers that played, almost everything was getting a decent amount of applause,
or laughter or what have you.
Some way more than others, but some reaction. And Mortal Engines played, and I hadn't even thought about it, and somebody else in the press cage with me, like right in front of me, pointed out, he's like, oh wow, no one reacted to that. And I'm like, oh wow, you're right, there wasn't almost any applause for that film.
But I mean, like, there wasn't any like excitement applause at the beginning of the trailer. Nothing. There was no giggles at the middle. There was no excitement at the end of the trailer. It was silent, and it was very like, oh wow. And I almost didn't even notice it. I really was like, oh wow, I wasn't paying attention. But yeah,
but I bring up Trailer Park because it was cool that at the beginning of Trailer Park, and we haven't talked about this, but we all found out during Comic-Con that John Schnepp, who has been working over at Collider, and he's also a writer-director. He not long ago wrote and directed a documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, which is a film looking at the film that never happened, the Superman film that never happened from director Tim Burton.
It was a doc, basically.
Yeah, he directed a doc, but it was about the film that was going to be made by Tim Burton about Superman that was going to star Nicolas Cage. Anyway, John Schnepp passed away this weekend during Comic-Con weekend, and which is just terrible, shocking news. And I still haven't I've been listening to Collider Heroes, which he is the host of, has been the host of for a while now, and he was amazing. And it's still, part of me is like, I can't believe, like, I almost don't believe, like, he's gone.
Yeah,
because it just really truly came out of nowhere. And anyway, they started Trailer Park by showing the trailer to that film, and I had found out while I was in the press cage that he had passed, like that day,
that morning.
And then we went to lunch, come back, and they do Trailer Park, and that's the first trailer they show, which they definitely did for that reason. And it was cool to hear some of the reaction from the audience, who obviously also knew that
everybody was clapping. It was very.
Anyway,
it was a moment for sure. It was a moment for, I think, people who are in this industry, especially on our section of the spectrum of the film industry, the nerd section, and the podcasting and everything like that. I think it was a hard hit because, Yeah, I know. It was surprising. I think mostly because we all were kind of told like, oh, he's not feeling well, he's in the hospital, and then it was like, oh no, he's passed away. It was a rough morning. And the thing is I feel horrible for his family to have that happen, and such a loss. And in a weird way, it was like, it was during con, and his coworkers, basically his extended family were there at con working.
The Collider crew, not all of them, but a good chunk of the Collider crew was at con, having to, they were enjoying con, but having to work con and cover the convention, and at the same time finding out that one of their coworkers had just died.
Their brethren.
And I can't imagine being in that position of having to still like do the convention thing,
enjoy con.
You just found out that basically a family member had just passed.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that was like for a lot of those guys, but
so our hearts go out to Collider. Woohoo!
Yeah. And then quickly we saw like Universal. They did Glass and Halloween. We saw the Bumblebee panel.
That was so cool.
We ended our day there with the Sony panel, and they did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and they covered Venom. I will say, of all the stuff we saw, I mean, I was most looking forward to Glass because we hadn't seen anything from Glass yet, other than a couple images that Entertainment Weekly had released.
Just days before, too.
Just before con, because of it was going to be at con.
Right.
So I was most looking forward to Glass, and of all the stuff we saw that day, Glass was, oh my God, like, I cannot wait.
Oh, I cannot wait for Glass.
Movie. It looks so good.
Can we just go back to the moment when M. Night Shyamalan walked out and I said, oh my God, I'm in the same room as M. Night Shyamalan?
I think you were doing a lot of that day.
I was. I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally feet away from M. Night Shyamalan.
But then you were then bummed to hear from M. Night Shyamalan that, by the way, guys, James McAvoy is not going to be here because he's sick.
I'm trying not to cry.
But then, Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis were there, but great.
Sam Jackson was awesome.
Yeah, he seems, I've never met him in just one-on-one in person, but at least in those kind of settings and panels, he seems like you would expect, like just chill.
He's laid back.
Walks out with a drink in his hand.
He's like in his zone, man.
Yeah.
The
Glass looks.
Oh my God, Glass looks so good. Like Sarah Paulson in that.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I'm stupid excited. If you have not watched the trailer for Glass, you've got to check the trailer out. It is intense and it looks amazing.
And for some reason, if you haven't watched Split yet,
oh my God, don't even get me started.
Then go watch Split. And if you haven't watched Unbreakable, then we really have problems. And Anywho, I will say, like, I was surprised and I didn't realize, and I'm saying this, and I have basically, I just lost it. Jamie Lee Curtis walks out for Halloween. Yeah, she was entertaining.
I lost my mind. I've always liked Jamie Lee Curtis. Apparently, I love Jamie Lee Curtis.
I didn't even know it.
I didn't even know I loved that woman. I was
this big of a fan, but now I am.
She walks out on stage, and I fangirled so hard. Like, it was bad. I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis! It was bad, but it was awesome. And she's so passionate about her work, and she's passionate about her work with Halloween and the whole series as a whole. And oh my God, she's just an awesome chick, let me tell you. But I was surprised I fangirled as hard as I did on Jamie Lee. I was like, oh my God, Jamie Lee Curtis. Anyways.
No, I get it.
It was a moment I had that I was not expecting to have on Friday. Yeah.
My other takeaway from Friday, Venom looks good. We saw more footage from Venom that we hadn't seen before. Mostly, like, it was good to see more of the actual character of Venom. And as I said before, I come at this movie as someone who doesn't know the source material that well. But for me, from that perspective, I'm looking forward to it more now than I did from that first trailer. I think I even talked about on this podcast from that first trailer that's been publicly released. That was like, okay, cool, but I don't know. Some things look kind of funky, but I don't know. I thought it looked.
It's grown on you, I think.
I think so. So yeah, it was a good Friday. It was a big Friday.
It was a big Friday.
We didn't stay for AMC's Preacher because I hear Preacher's great, but I hear
it's a very good show. I've never seen it. honestly, I had this discussion with people in the con, because I talk to everybody, by the way. Like, I go and I talk to anybody who wants to talk. Like, let's talk. We'll talk stuff.
I get that. I think, and you know me, I'm not that kind of person. And even I talked to Bobby in line and how I met him.
You talk to people when you're at con.
I mean, it's just that atmosphere, and you feel more comfortable with these people. I don't know. There's something about it.
But it's funny because it's like everybody's got kind of like their thing that they're into. And so they're like, you're not watching what to watch? And I'm like, I know. I've heard amazing things, but I have 25 other things I watch, and then I'm behind on half of those, and there's just not enough time in the damn day sometimes. Like, there's just not, and it's so like heartbreaking. So they're like, oh, you've got to make time. I'm like, I know, dude, I'm with you. Like, I'm glad that you found your time. And then I'm like, but have you seen this? They're like, oh no, I haven't. I'm like, oh, see, I have my time for this show. Do you have your time for that show? So see, you gotta weigh out things. And so everybody just kind of basically geeks out over each other's little nerd fest things, which is fun. And you learn about shows that you've never heard about. You learn about things that you've not even known existed. And it's a cool thing. It's a cool atmosphere to be in. Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good Friday. And then, we did Saturday morning, we did the Warner Brothers panel in Hall H. And because I did the press cage, I wasn't right next to you for the experience. But you were close. I could see you. I
could see your head over there. I could see like your baseball hat kind of bobbing up and down.
You were very close to me, so I could see you right there. And I definitely had a moment very early in the panel, because Warner Brothers, for those who have not been in the room before, they put on a presentation.
Dude.
They basically don't just use the one screen that's in the front of the room. They kind of wrap the room in other screens. Which you
have never told me.
I'm sure I've mentioned it.
Nope.
I know I have talked about it, and I just think it's one of those things that you didn't quite grasp what I meant. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm glad you didn't really know, because then it was a fresh, like, oh my God, this is happening experience.
I lost my shit.
Because
there's no other way to put that. I lost my shit.
Even though, and I should know his name by now. I think he's the director of programming for Comic-Con, and he always comes out
Eddie something.
He always comes out at the beginning of the day to kind of go, hey guys, here's the day, and or right before a big panel, he'll come out and, okay guys, remember, don't shoot footage of the footage you're seeing, and don't put it on the internet. And really, he seems like a great guy. And even he is just like, he starts off the Warner Brothers panel with, well, you guys know the routine, and he walks off, and boom, the screens start opening, and they start with just kind of a general Warner Brothers kind of montage piece, and then it goes into Fantastic Beasts. And I looked over at you when the Fantastic Beasts stuff was getting started, and you genuinely just had this look of like childhood amazement of looking around like, oh my God, mouth gaping open, like just looking around the room of what is all this magic that is happening.
What is this magical thing that is happening? I just sat there I had this awkward, like, mouth open, like looking in amazement, like weird hand clapping thing, because I just was like, I don't know what to do with myself right now. I'm losing my mind. Yeah.
And you got to experience, and you know what? One thing I hadn't thought about that. It's kind of bullshit. You got to experience that for the first time from the front fucking row.
Yes.
I think the first time I experienced that, I wasn't in the back. That first year I met Bobby, it was kind of in the back side. But God damn it, that's bullshit.
Yeah, basically, so it's a 180 basically of screens, and I basically was enveloped for 260 because I was in the front row, so we went way past my peripheral. So I basically felt like I was enveloped by screen, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
so awesome.
Oh. And yeah, we're like, as we have already talked about, Warner Brothers put on a good show. Fantastic Beasts.
It was a good start. It was a really good start.
It looks good. I mean, I liked the first film, but I didn't love it. I mean, it feels a lot like some of the other franchises that have tried to expand beyond their initial story. Like when, as much as I loved Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit films really never did much for me. And as much as I liked the first Fantastic Beasts, it's just not Harry Potter, and it just doesn't feel the same, And so going into this movie, I'm kind of like, I don't know, some of this feels like you're just forcing it, and do we need this? But then watching it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, there's no doubt I'm going to go see it, but
I think for me, it was I will say, and again, I haven't seen it, like I don't know, but I feel like this one might actually even be better than the first one. I liked the first one a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it was the one person on the panel of all of us here on the show that enjoyed it the most. I think this other one, there's something about it, like just seeing, and I think it's because there's so much going on with Grindelwald and him being held on trial, and he's going to be there. And I feel like that kind of harkens back. They're going to Hogwarts. Like, they're actually going to be at the school for parts of the school for the movie, you know. And yes, we're getting Dumbledore, we're getting a younger Dumbledore, but we're getting Dumbledore at the core of it. Like, so we are going back to some basics here, and I think that's really going to help the fan base embrace this a little bit more. And then, as they say in the trailer, and this is not a spoiler or anything, they meet Nicholas Flamel, which in the books we all know is he's not a character per se, as like he's a person that walks around and talks to Harry Potter, but he's a character that, because he's an alchemist, he wrote a lot of their school books for Hogwarts. So this is a man that all students at Hogwarts learn from. And so he's going to be in the film. Like, what? They're going to meet Nicholas Flamel? This is a person that we've only known of as an author of school books.
Right.
So that's a big thing in that universe. So I was kind of like, what? Like, everybody in the room went, what? All simultaneously. Everybody's heads kind of exploded like when they heard it. And I felt bad because I don't think you guys actually hear when he said, "Oh, I'm Nicholas Flamel."
There was something about where, I don't know, it was because I was in the press cage or something, which you're also from the cage, you're kind of looking up at an angle.
And they held you guys back even on top of that.
Well, by the time they showed that trailer, I think we were still back, because they showed that like right at the beginning, didn't they?
Yep, they showed that at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing. They were holding us back from our kind of normal positions because of something that was going to happen, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, kind of like watching up at an angle. When he said his line, like there was something about, like, I don't know if it was just because of the crowd, I didn't quite understand it, and I heard everyone react, and I'm like, well, fuck, what did he say?
I remember later you were like, what happened at the end of...
Later on, we were walking around on the floor, and I was like, oh yeah, Michelle, by the way, what the hell did that guy say? And then you explained it, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes, I see why people reacted that way.
It was a pretty head-blowing thing. If you know Harry Potter, you know that name. Like, that name is not unfamiliar to you.
Right. But, so. I mean, I will say, yeah, it looked good, and looked better than I think I kind of expected, and I think the Grindelwald storyline that they kind of showed more of is even more intriguing.
It is intriguing.
And then, so they start the panel off, and they're keeping those of us in the press cage back, because they're like, oh, some special effect. Like, you can't kind of take your normal positions. You need to stay back. And then once we'll know when you're clear, and we'll let you know. And the panel's going off for a little bit, and we're still standing back there, and I'm like, God damn it, like, why can't I get up there and shoot some video? Like, why am I being held back? And then finally we find out that because they brought out, Johnny Depp was not a part of the panel until he ends up walking out in character as Grindelwald. Yes. And they had him, if we had been in our normal positions, I mean, we would have been practically right on top of him.
You'd been up his pants.
And I could see why they didn't want that. So, he comes out on stage in character, kind of like what Tom Hiddleston did as Loki at the Marvel panel a handful of years ago. He comes out in character, never broke character. He never came back on the panel. It was like, okay, I'm Johnny Depp, guys. Like, no, that was it.
No, that was it. And it sounded like it was the speech that he's making, because you can kind of hear it from the trailer. He basically made the speech that I'm pretty sure we're going to see in the film that he's making while he's on trial for his crimes. And he's basically trying to explain why he's doing what he's doing. He's trying to get people on his side.
Right.
And so he comes out and he gives this grand speech. And I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, wow, I'm buying into this. I guess I'm going to be a Death Eater. Okay. Like, I was definitely like, I'm like, he makes valid points. But, it was interesting. I will say, though, again, like, Johnny Depp comes out, and I fangirled so hard. I was like, oh my God, it's Johnny Depp. I just can't even. It was so cool. And it wasn't even like, oh, it's Johnny Depp. It was like, oh my God, it's Grindelwald. Like, I couldn't hold it together. I was a hot mess.
But man, if I could have been a fly on the wall backstage.
Oh God, I know where this is going.
Because of the I don't know, the Wranglers and Warner Brothers, how they handled the fact that Johnny Depp was there for the Warner Brothers panel, and Amber Heard was there for the Warner Brothers panel.
For the Aquaman section.
Aquaman was a couple films later within the panel. I have to imagine that Warner Brothers handled it in such a way that they never crossed paths. But man, I wish I could have seen how they handled that. And yeah, that was interesting.
I'm pretty sure it was Johnny, go to your dressing room, stay in your dressing room, get on the stage, go back to your dressing room, get the hell out.
It's a very interesting decision to like have them both take part in their Comic-Con Warner Brothers panel. And I mean, like, for also like when all the actors came out for the panel earlier and he was not a part of it, I don't think anybody was shocked. Like, oh, well, Johnny Depp's not here. I mean, considering some of the controversy around the fact that he is in the film, and you know, I was not surprised that I was like, oh, he's not taking part. Like, they just kind of aren't, you know, obviously he's in the movie, he's in he's all over the trailer, but we're just not going to have him here. But then they bring him out in costume, and I
think it was a really smart decision.
I think it's smart too, though. And then you're not having anybody come up to the Q&A thing wanting to ask him questions, even though they do screen all those questions. I mean, they wouldn't have let anybody ask him anything that they didn't want to answer. Anyway.
I think it was a smart choice. I will say, yeah, I definitely I knew that Beast was going to be there at the panel. Like, I wasn't not knowing that. I at one point was kind of like, oh, Johnny's probably not going to be there. He's pretty controversial right now. It's a thing. Like, if he's not there, I'm cool with it. I get it. I understand their choice. And then when he came out as Grindelwald, I was like, one, awesome. But two, it was like, this makes sense. Like, I'm glad he's still involved and he's here, but I'm glad he's here in character. Like, it was nice. It was a really good decision, I think, on Warner Brothers' behalf. And as far as the whole him and Amber Heard thing, yeah, in a way, it's kind of one of those things you're like, oh, I'd love to be this. I would like to know how they figured it out. But at the same time, like, at the very end of the day, Johnny Depp is a professional. Amber Heard is a professional. They're there to do a job. They have contracts. There's multi-million dollars going into them doing their job. Like, that day, they were doing a job.
Right. I'm just saying, you know.
No, it is an interesting thing, for sure.
It's an interesting
For sure. I'm sure she was like, so I'm over here and he's over there. Okay, cool.
Right. And then, yeah.
And Ezra Miller's costume.
Yeah, he's funny. I mean, I've seen him in Hall H before for Justice League.
He does not disappoint.
And he's a character.
Yeah.
They do Lego Movie 2 or Lego Movie the second part, and Chris Pratt and Elizabeth Banks and everybody was there for that.
I was in the same room as Chris Pratt, everybody. It was pretty awesome.
I'm going to title this episode, I Was in the Same Room As...
You should. ... This is a really good title.
Anyway, after that, Godzilla, the sequel, Godzilla King of the Monsters, which, I forget, have you seen the first movie?
The one with Matthew Broderick?
No, oh, fuck that. No. The recent film.
No.
Okay. What's the face you're giving me right now? Like, no. Is that a... No, I have to think about it, or why the fuck would you even ask me that question kind of face?
Both. No. The last Godzilla film I saw was with Matthew Broderick.
That's unfortunate.
But that had such an amazing soundtrack to it. That film. Anywho.
You're being sarcastic, right?
It had a really good soundtrack.
Anyway.
We will come back to that.
Yeah, now I'm totally thrown off. Anyway, you haven't seen the last film. This is the sequel. Everyone has definitely different opinions on that last film, and I know even like Bobby and Yasha, they were not fans. I get the complaints, but I overall enjoyed it. But I understand that, there wasn't actually enough like monsters fighting in the film,
right?
Even though there was some, but not enough. This film does not seem like it's going to have that problem. There's definitely a lot more kaiju in this. Oh my god, yes.
I mean, you could tell, and it's not even like they showed fight sequences, and if you just watch the trailer, you'll be like, holy crap. Like, it's very evident. Basically all of the past kaijus that ever crossed paths with him are probably going to be in this bad boy.
And I want to say too, like, as much as I like these kind of movies, and I watched Godzilla movies as a kid, and I think maybe that's why I do have kind of a love for these films. But because I was watching a lot of those at such a young age, it's when you watch some stuff at certain ages, you love them, but you don't quite grasp some of the things that are happening. And I don't know a lot of the history and lore about Godzilla and the other monsters, even though I know who a lot of them are, like Mothra and such. But there was stuff that was mentioned in this trailer that I'm curious. I'm like, has this always been kind of the theory behind these monsters?
Lore, like they're like gods that walk the earth. And
the funny thing about that is that it's very Lovecraftian. As someone who's a big Cthulhu fan, as I am, you know, when in the trailer you're watching, he's talking about how these creatures have been on Earth all this time, just kind of sleeping, kind of waiting for their moment to kind of, because we're fucking up now, they're here to stop the disease that we are,
to cleanse the earth.
It's a very Lovecraftian concept that I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm not going to get a Cthulhu film, but in a way I kind of am, you know, like I'm all for this. And it looks good. I'm excited about it.
It was, for me, it was the surprise panel portion of the day. Like, I was very like, oh, wow, this is intriguing. Like, I was not thinking I was going to walk away from Saturday being even slightly interested in Godzilla. And I was kind of like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting.
Right. And then after that, I think they went right into DC, didn't they? Or was there something else I'm forgetting?
It was Godzilla and we went straight to DC.
And then, DC, they start with Wonder Woman and they show very little footage from that. I mean, they've been shooting for, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks, they mentioned, but they show this scene that's kind of in a shopping mall, which is fitting since it's...
Yeah, because they've been shooting in Washington, D.C.
Well, it's fitting because this movie's set in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, totally fitting.
You know, they show us a scene from a shopping mall, and there's no doubt the look of the film has a much brighter 80s look about it. Her look, her costume, everything about it is just brighter, and that's good. I think it fits. Oh. You know, it looked good, but it's almost like there's not even almost anything to comment on. We saw almost nothing. Yeah,
it was just a little like action sequence, and it was cute, but it was good to kind of see her in action. Right. And then they even showed, so I know everybody saw probably that weird clip of basically Gal Gadot like running on air, because that clip is out on the internet. People saw it. Yeah. And people were like, what the fuck is happening there? And they showed that clip. And
I think not really that aspect of it. It was just her kind of running.
It was that clip from a different angle, from an actual camera shot angle.
Yeah, but the thing that you see in that clip, we did not see in Hall H. So like her, like basically not running, like she's up, like I don't know, it was definitely different.
Well, we saw that, and it's intriguing, and I'm curious to see how the effects are going to work to make that all kind of work out, which will make sense later down the road. But no, it was cool. I mean, Patty Jenkins came out, Gal Gadot came out, and then Chris Pine came out, and it's no secret there's been a photograph that was published by Entertainment Weekly, very credible, so we all knew in some weird way this is happening. Oh yeah, like it's no surprise. Like he's in the movie. It's official. Like right. That's an official still image. Like, hey, Chris Pratt is in this. Like Chris Pine, sorry, is in this film. Yeah. Right. And but he came out, and it was like it was. I was just surprised he was there for the panel. In truth, because who knows? He seemed very like not there though. Like he didn't seem all that. I'll be honest, he kind of looked like he was jet lagged. Like he looked tired. I mean, yeah, nothing against him. He definitely wasn't showing a lot of exuberance about being there. He just kind of was like, I'm here. Because which makes me question, as far as Wonder Woman 1984 goes, like, is he mostly used as like a weird, almost like a dream sequence? Like, is she almost like seeing him, or is he actually in it? Like, is he actually have a really major role throughout this film, or is he being utilized in kind of a weird small way? And he's like, yet they brought him out to the panel to give us the impression that like he's a major character, but then he's really not. But he was on set for 2 days. That's it. But like, see, that approach would be weird. Like, you know, because then you run the risk of making a lot of people who are excited about him being in it, Steve returning, and then those people go see it, and he's like, they're all like, wait a second, where the hell is he? He's not really here. He's in a dream sequence, and that's it. Like, well, and I'm not saying like dreams. You know, maybe like she's having weird visions of him, or I know. I mean, that's
details.
But yeah, it's interesting. No, I could tell he was kind of out of it. I will also say that, like, looking at him, and he still looks really good. He kind of looked tired. He looked like he was jet lagged. I don't know where he flew in from for the con. I have no idea, but he looked a little jet lagged, and that's okay. It happens. Everybody was a little jet lagged, I think, because even the next panel, which was another highlight of my day.
I would have imagined the next panel would have been your ultimate highlight of the day.
It was nice. It was a really good moment.
So then they brought Shazam out, which for me was the thing I was looking the most forward to out of the Warner Brothers panel, mainly because it's the one DC property that I'm like, we really see nothing. We had seen a couple images, again, Entertainment Weekly,
of that week,
but that's it. Like, we had not seen footage yet, and I knew we were going to see footage, so I'm like, I'm curious about, like, what's this going to be like? Because I know Shazam, I know the comics, like, I've seen some of the animated film stuff that he's in, and it's like, how are you going to pull this off? And the look of him and Zachary Levi in this kind of funny looking costume he's in, like, all right, I want to see what you guys are going to do with this. And they show us a trailer, and it was the one trailer that I had seen that I put my camera down and clapped for. Like, that was entertaining as hell. Yeah. Like, it looks really, really good and really fun and very different from the dark, gritty stuff we have seen from DC Warner Brothers. So and it is still in this same universe. I mean, they show the fact that, like, this other kid, what he's living with now, foster kid, like, he's got, like, Batman and Superman, like, paraphernalia. Like, this is definitely in that world. Shazam is not existing out on his own as some separate film.
No, it's very much tied in certain ways, you could tell. I think it looks like it's a lot of fun. It's very reminiscent to me of Big. Like, I feel like you're watching basically, like, the film Big, excuse me. If Big were to be an action superhero.
Yeah, that's basically
what you're kind of getting. And so it's this kid who's of a certain age that he's like, I'm 3 times my size and I'm a superhero. I don't even know what to do with myself. Like, it was fun. It was very lighthearted and fun. And it'll be an interesting one to see for sure. And
then Aquaman is how they ended the day, as I expected. Part of me was like, I was kind of wondering, Aquaman, are they going to kind of announce something or surprise us with something post Aquaman? But I'm sitting there looking at my watch and the timing of the Aquaman panel, and I'm like, no, like, this is it. Like, I can tell that they're going to end this with some Q&A and this is over.
Yeah.
And, Aquaman, that's the first time we had seen a trailer from that film from James Wan. Jason Momoa made quite an entrance for that panel.
That was really cool.
Yeah, he kind of
I'm not going to lie to
you. For those who have been there, like, right behind the stage where they have people seated, there's, like, an electronic screen kind of section that's kind of almost person height, if not shorter than that, and then above that is a main screen, and they had it set up where they opened that up as they were doing this kind of water effect on the screens, and they opened that up and he walks through it.
It was like he parted the water to walk through it onto the stage, guys. And I know your angle was really weird, but I was looking dead on at him.
So, like, when it opened, it's not like when it opened, I knew what was going to happen, but I couldn't see him back there, like, about to come through.
Let me tell you how awesome that view was.
Tell me, Michelle, how awesome was it?
Like, I'm sitting there and, like, the whole Aquaman thing's happening and there's water falling everywhere around me, and I'm like, this is amazing. And then the screen starts to part and the water starts to part basically as the screens are parting. So again, like, it looks like a divide. It's like Moses parting the Red Seas, my friends, is opening up, and you see Momoa standing there, and he's got his arms kind of out, he's kind of flexing a little, and he's kind of dark and in silhouette of a shadow. And then he comes out and you can kind of see the light getting brighter, and he starts kind of coming into color, and he comes out and he's pumped and he gets his arms up and he's happy and excited and he's like, yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, it was really cool. It looked so amazing, and it was just this really awesome moment. I was like, oh my God. Right. Jason Momoa's Aquaman. They made Aquaman Jason Momoa, and I'm super okay with it.
But yeah, they show us the trailer, and I don't know. It's funny. Now I've watched it a couple times since the panel, and I have to say, I think the more I watch it, the less I'm interested in it. I'm looking forward to the movie. I like him as Aquaman overall, but I will say a couple more things and just a little bit about that. But I don't know. It's funny because I've been seeing a lot of other outlets really praise that trailer. Like, oh my God, this looks great. And part of me is like, does it though? Because, I mean, the movie is relying a lot on computer animated stuff, and I get it. But just like the look of Atlantis, it looks very like Avatar underwater. And it's just very computer generated. Has a very computer generated. CGI. A lot of the movie does so far. And then a lot of the creatures in it, and the sea creatures in it, the sharks and turtles and such, all just computer generated. And I'm just like,
and with armor on them.
Yeah. And I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's Aquaman. I get that. But
yeah, it's totally Aquaman.
But just the look of it, like, I don't know. And I'm kind of, I hope I'm pleasantly surprised by that movie. But my expectations were lowered, I will say, by the trailer. I'm not as excited about that film, and that's going to be a bummer, like, because DC is already in a really funky kind of zone where they really need to start to bring it, and then Aquaman is our next film, and if that movie like gets a lot of negative reaction, it's really going to put a hurt on it, because I feel like everybody was feeling really hurt after Batman versus Superman. It hurt a lot, right?
And I'm saying this, and I feel like the one shining beacon, and I hate to be this way, but was Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And then the film Wonder Woman comes out, and Patty Jenkins put together a spectacular film that I think everyone enjoyed very much.
Right.
And then we got Justice League. And even in Justice League, I think the portrayal of Wonder Woman and the other characters just isn't as great. And I'm saying that, and I just watched Justice League a few nights ago, again, for like probably the third time, like from start to finish, no interruptions, no pausing, just watch the film. And, you know, again, I watched it again, and I was like, you know, I'm becoming more and more disappointed in this film and the portrayal of each character. And I have a lot of issues with it. And it concerns me, because I'm like, so we're in Aquaman, and yeah, the Aquaman trailer, I'm intrigued to his origin story. I think it'll be interesting. And like I just said, basically they made Aquaman Jason Momoa. There's definitely things that he says that are not Aquaman-esque things. They're Jason Momoa things. And on a lot of levels, I'm pretty cool with it. I'm cool with a little updating of Aquaman's character. I think that's totally fine. But I'm watching this trailer, and the more I see this trailer, and I said this even that day after that panel, I was like, that's CGI, man. It was my first comment. I was just like, that's CGI. I'm concerned, and it's just over CGI'd. And I'm saying that acknowledging this movie is going to be taking place underwater. How else the fuck are you supposed to do this film? I'm there. But it looks, you say it's reminiscent of Avatar, and I kind of get that in a weird way. And God, I hate saying this. It reminds me of that scene in the one Star Wars film that nobody likes to talk about.
Oh, and Phantom Menace. Like, yeah. I kind of had flashbacks to that. You had Phantom Menace flashbacks.
A little bit. And so... Oh, God, no. It concerns me. It concerned me. It's my concern.
They did like a random Easter egg of Jar Jar in the background somewhere.
Jesus
swimming
Christ.
around.
It's a good thing they're two completely different companies, and I know that's not going to happen. But
you get some random effects guy that just throws it in and hopes no one notices.
Oh fuck. No. So there's parts of me. I feel like every time I see it, I feel like I see more non-soft CGI. I see harder CGI lines and colors and things and actions and movements, and it bugs me, and I'm concerned. And this is such a nitpicky thing, but I am so hung up on Amber Heard's hair. I cannot get over it. I'd love to let it go. I really want to let it go, and I can't.
Next, like, I get, you look at the comics and that character, and most of the time in the comics, has very vibrant red. I mean, straight up red hair.
It's Mara.
Just unnaturally red hair in the comics.
Super unnaturally red.
And they just did it, and they made the character that way. And I mean, there's certain time, like, I get that in the comics that looks believable, but here that just looks silly.
Well, considering everybody else basically got a redo on their color schemes, their stylizations, I don't understand why they couldn't have done that with her.
And even her in Justice League, if you watch Justice League and see her character, I mean, it is not red like that.
It's red hair.
It's just red hair, but underwater it just kind of almost looks brown. You know,
it's red hair.
But it's naturally red hair, not this like vibrant blood red.
She just looks like she's wearing a wig. She's wearing a wig.
And maybe some people could pull off that look, but she's a beautiful woman and just doesn't pull that off.
It does not work, kids.
No, and that is distracting too for me.
It's very distracting. It's very, especially because we watched that kind of like scissor reel extended trailer. And so it was a whole sequence of her and him, like in a different realm. And then they had a whole fight sequence with Black Mantis. And I'm watching it and I'm just going, oh my God, I can't not look at the wig on her head.
They showed us the trailer that's been released. And at the end of the panel, they showed us another kind of longer, basically another trailer, but it had scenes in it that were very long, like the scene you're describing where they're running around through this
Greece
town, and the rooftops and stuff. And yeah, that actually ended with a look of him. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's not a spoiler because they showed it to us, but if it's him in the costume, like in the gold and green Aquaman costume,
like I am the king of Atlantis costume, basically,
like in the costume that most of us know from the comics. That look, and he pulls it off. It looks awesome.
No, that does look cool.
But then, one thing I haven't commented on, I kind of hinted at earlier, like Jason Momoa's Aquaman, like I don't so much. I'm not so happy with the whole, like, let's make Aquaman more Momoa. Like, and to a point, I'm cool with that. But there's an aspect, like, in the trailer that's been released to the public and in that footage that we saw, there's a couple times where you hear him, Aquaman, be just very Momoa, like, badass. And like, there's something he said in the footage that hasn't been released that he is just very Momoa. And it just... I think because there's something about it, even within the footage, that feels very it takes me out of it. It's like, whoa, wait, what? Like, that's not Aquaman. This is Momoa. And that guy, don't get me wrong, Momoa seems awesome. Like, I follow him on Instagram. Like an awesome dude. He seems like he'd be a really great guy to be friends with. Like, I think he seems great. But I don't necessarily, I kind of wish he was playing more of an Aquaman character. Not, I'm just being myself, but I'm Aquaman. Like, I don't know. It's not working for me. So, overall, I was not impressed with Aquaman. And that kind of bums me out. And I hope the film is great. I still am holding out some hope. And even with the effects, like, they're months away. And I guarantee you they're going to be working on effects for that film, like, probably right up until they have to ship out reels or whatever, digitally ship out reels. So maybe by the time we see the movie on the big screen, we will be singing a different tune. But as of right now, I'm kind of disappointed. And then we still haven't really talked to Bobby and Yasha about it. I'm curious to hear their takes on that movie.
Come back to my thought really fast to finish it up. But basically, like, we're going to get Aquaman. And then hopefully it doesn't leave her ridiculously horrid taste in people's mouth, because April will be Shazam.
Yeah.
So about Easter-ish, we'll get Shazam, and hopefully that brightens things up. And if Shazam doesn't pick it up, then basically the next one is Wonder Woman 1984. And it's almost, I'm hoping that they're not relying on Patty Jenkins bringing it back up again, because if it takes a Wonder Woman film to bring back DC again, that makes me sad. And I'm saying that, and I want Wonder Woman to be fucking amazing. I do. It concerns me for the DC universe as a whole if Aquaman doesn't do the way I'm hoping it should do.
Right.
And then if that puts a sour taste in people's mouths, Shazam might not do as good as it should do. And then it leaves everybody's going, okay, we're putting everything on Wonder Woman and it better deliver. And if for some reason it doesn't, Yeah, I think you're looking at bye-bye DC Universe. I
mean, at least for a bit, like in its current incarnation.
Regrouping.
And yeah, Aquaman, it's got to move off that release date that it's on. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or just off the air, but like that release date that it's on, everybody is on that release date. Which it's not just Aquaman that is like, you got to get off that date, but there's a couple other movies that need to get off that date because Bumblebee is that same weekend.
When is this?
This is December 21st.
See, I thought it was November.
No, it's December, but unless they at Con like announced a new date, then I think that was the other thing that now that you mentioned that, I'm like, I think we were all kind of wondering if they were going to announce a new date at Con, and I don't think they did. Like, and like I'm doing a quick Google search anyway right now, and it's still coming up as December 21st. Ugh. And December 21st, I mean, it is definitely not alone. Like it needs to be by itself.
No, it needs to be by itself. Otherwise, it's going to get pummeled.
And it's Christmas. I mean, it's not just Aquaman. It's a crazy busy release day. Like, and I'm don't have the other movies right in front of me. I'm kind of brain farting right now, but I know Bumblebee is another really big one.
I think it's that same day.
But there's another one like 2 days earlier. Mary Poppins Returns moved to that Wednesday. And then you only have 2 days until Aquaman, Bumblebee. I think that movie, the new movie with, oh man, I can't remember his name. But anyway, there's a lot of films coming out that weekend. And some of those films need to move on and make some room. I know you're trying to search for it right now.
I am trying to search for it because there's a lot. No, but there's a ton of films that are trying to get out on that day. Okay, yeah. So we got Bumblebee, Aquaman. Alita.
Yeah, and that's a whole other subject.
Oh yeah, that is a whole other subject.
That movie also needs to get the fuck out of that date because that movie's gonna get pummeled.
That movie, and that's a shame. That movie's gonna get just thrown into the undercurrent so super hard if it stays on that date. Like it's not good. Like it needs to get off of that date.
Welcome to Marwen was the other one I was trying to think of.
Oh, and that looks. And I know you don't agree with me on this. I think that film looks kind of cute.
No, I think that movie looks.
I think it'd be kind of fun. I don't think it's a great movie, but that's a horrible day for that film. That film's gonna get just walked all the fuck over if it stays on that date.
And, I mean, we all get that December can be a busy month, but yeah, no, Aquaman does not stand a chance. I think. I mean, it'll make some money, but it ain't gonna make enough money for Warner Brothers and DC to be happy about it. If it stays on that weekend, it's got to move. So anyway,
a lot of those films need to move off that date. It's
anyway.
Christmas weekends are.
We left after Warner Brothers, and we went back for Kevin Smith. At the end of the day, he kind of returned to his Hall H Saturday Night Presence, and we went to that. But it was a good day. Good day in Hall H.
It was a good day in Hall H.
It was a good con. That was basically our con. I mean. We did some stuff on Thursday. We did some stuff on Sunday, and another Comic-Con in the books.
The only thing I can really kind of finish off with is I love this con. I love this con in San Diego. San Diego is a city that, as much as they, I think, possibly can, as far as the downtown area and the gas lamp section, they embrace this con. They know basically it is the moneymaker for them for the year, probably. It is literally, they know that they basically get pummeled into the ground with thousands upon thousands of people, plus their regular locals. And they still do it with a smile on their face. They take it in stride and they embrace it. And I think they have a lot of fun with it. I think they enjoy people coming to their shops and to their restaurants and basically just kind of geeking out and having conversation, and they like it. I mean, they could easily be kind of over it at this point because it's been there for so many years, but they still really enjoy it. They still enjoy the con-goers, exuberance and excitement for everything that's happening, and I'm glad. I really enjoy going to that city. It's a fun time. It doesn't disappoint, and I think everybody that's there is wonderful. We had servers at restaurants that were great, and we even had repeat servers at restaurants, and right. But like it just, It's lovely. Having said that, the con itself has outgrown not only just the convention center, but unfortunately, I think it has outgrown San Diego. And I'm saying that, and that city accommodates extremely well for the hordes of thousands of people that descend into that little small section of that city for that weekend.
It has. It's funny because it was over the weekend that I admitted to Bobby, because I've been a big supporter of it staying in San Diego. I think mostly because it's a great city.
That's a fabulous city. Love that city.
The weather is amazing. And I get that I'm saying that as someone who lives in Florida, where the weather, as much as I love my home, I love Florida, I love Orlando, the weather, though, here in the summer is terrible.
At the same time as that con, it's ridiculous here.
So, yeah, it's just, I think I love the idea that every summer I get to go to San Diego and do, not only be in San Diego, but I get to go to do this con in San Diego. And the thought of it going somewhere else is just like, oh, I love Comic-Con, but just the thought of going to it, and I mean, no offense to Anaheim, but like Anaheim's a city that's been thrown around a lot, and the thought of going to it in Anaheim is just like, oh, okay. I'm like Anaheim's fine, but it's just not the same. Like,
right.
But I will say, maybe because now I've been going every year now for a while now. I mean,
you've gone to what, 6 cons?
This is my 6th full con. 7th technically, but my 6th full experience, and I've been going since 2012. I missed 1 year, I think 2015. And it's I love going there, but maybe because now I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I think I am ready for it to move on. It needs to move. I mean, for one thing, if you think about it, and this con, I think I don't know if they ever officially announce attendance, but I think I've always heard it's about like 165,000 or 170,000 maybe. So that's the total attendance for the weekend. Hall H holds about, I've always heard 6,500. I mean, if you do that math, like your room that holds the biggest panels that everybody wants to be at, basically, most people want to be at.
They would give their right eye to be in.
It only holds about 4% of your attendees.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good.
That's not good.
Like, and, you know, it's a setup where then the people that want to be in there, they're having to at least spend the night 2 nights in line. Like,
at this point, if you want to be in Hall H on Saturday, you are spending Thursday night and Friday night in line. You are spending Thursday night, all day Friday night, and your entire morning Saturday morning. You are living in that line, my friend, for over 48 hours. And that, I mean, you know, of course, that'll sound like, oh my God, you're just killing a full day. But I mean, yeah, if you're doing it with a group of people, you make a schedule. You switch it up. You take turns in line, but still, it's kind of unacceptable. And it's to a point that it does need to move. You know, I mean, I've heard, and I honestly, I hadn't even thought about that figure. John Campia on his YouTube page did a video about this in this past week, and that's when he talked about this very subject and threw that number out. I was like, oh yeah, wow. Like, I've always known those numbers, but I'd never really thought about it in that sense of like, wow, that is only like 4% of your total attendees. That's very tiny,
and that's bad.
That's unacceptable. And I say that because we live in a convention city. Orlando is a huge convention center, and I've worked the conventions. And so for 4% of your entire goers to go into the main hall, that's bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he gave the example of Vegas, which is another city that's been thrown around a lot. And I'm not that up on a lot of the venues at Vegas, but I don't forget what venue it is at Vegas that can hold, that's right there in the strip, that can hold like 20,000 people. Like, still, that's not all 165,000, but that's at least a lot more than 6,000.
That's almost a quarter of your peoples.
Yeah, it's a lot better, you know. I mean, then there is the thought too that I've heard that said before, like, why don't they try to do it in Petco Park in San Diego? But I could see the logistics of, it's an outdoor venue, you know. Then for the studios who are trying to show stuff that they want to hide, it makes it even harder to hide if you're doing it in an outdoor venue. Like, I get that, but it does seem like you could find a way to pull Petco Park off, and that, I mean, I don't know how many people Petco Park holds, but it seems like you could find a way.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think after this experience, it is the first year that I'm kind of like finally going, you know what? It does. It needs to move. Like,
and I say that.
San Diego, as great of a city as it is, they unfortunately have not been able to come to an agreement politically to find a way to expand that convention center, which they have. You can go on YouTube right now and find, like, there's a YouTube rendering of like how they plan to expand it, and it looked like it was going to be great, but they couldn't find a way to pay for it, and it is currently still in the state it's been in.
Yeah.
And since San Diego can't seem to figure it out, like they've got to move it, and unfortunately right now they're on contract through 2021. So I mean it will be there.
It will be there for quite some time,
and a couple more years or more.
And I think the funny thing is that this year attendance was down this year as a whole
at the con
in comparison.
I mean it's still sold out, but however however many people actually showed up, but yeah, it's still sold out. And the other thing you have to think about too with San Diego is the hotel situation, something else that Campy had brought up in his video. Like,
oh my God,
you have a situation where it's
a blood sport.
They just do not have enough hotel rooms, and they have to hold a lottery if you're trying to get official con hotels, and just hope that you get one. And then when you don't, like, you are at the mercy of supply and demand, where rooms are skyrocketing to insane rates.
And I'm not talking about
Airbnbs are skyrocketing to insane rates, and it's crazy. Like,
the town does not have enough hotel rooms. I mean, period. That's the statistic. It is just how it is. And the frustrating part is that just even regular hotels, if you get outside of the downtown region and you start expanding, those room rates, you are paying triple what you would normally pay for a Courtyard Marriott. You were paying a ridiculous amount of money. And even the Airbnbs, and these kids have caught on to it, and I can't fault them, but the people that are running Airbnbs might normally rent their room for $59 a night. On con week, that room, $200 plus a night.
Oh yeah.
And they know it, and they know they can get away with it. And I get it. It's, everybody's making their buck, but if I'm paying $200 plus a night, I want to be in a really nice hotel.
Right.
And unfortunately, as much as I love San Diego, I've really come to grow to love that city so much. It needs it needs a new home. It needs a larger home. It needs a home with more hotels, with more restaurants, because that's another thing is I'm tired of fighting for at the end of the night is a restaurant. And even the floor space, the main floor, the actual convention floor with the vendors is too small. It's just too small for what they're putting in there. It's just crazy. Right. Especially if they don't come up with a no strollers rule or something on the floor. Yeah. Which is a whole nother topic. But
we can talk about that for a while.
I can talk about that for a long time. And I'm not anti-kids going to the con. Let me make this clear.
Oh, no,
I'm anti-strollers being on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that. No, it needs a new city. And I understand the whole, like, oh, we'll go to Vegas. Part of me is like, hell yeah, that'd be fun. Part of me that's like, oh my God, I wouldn't sleep for 5 days. That freaks me out. I feel like that would
be a whole different experience.
I would be living on Red Bull in 5 hour, and that concerns me, considering I'm a person that doesn't drink Red Bull for 5 hours.
Right.
So yeah, that's concerning. Plus the temperature, I think, would be just through the roof if they kept it around the same dates, at the end of the July, we would all melt. And I I get it. Vegas is very heavily air conditioned. God bless it. Anaheim just seems like it would be kind of Anaheim, and I'm not downgrading Anaheim as a whole. I just feel like it would be almost, I don't know. It's not as luxurious.
I think because my thing is when I go to San Diego Comic-Con, of course I'm going there for the con, but it's also a great city to just go to and enjoy and be there for, and just being in the Gaslamp downtown area.
The walkability factor
is just nice. Mm-hmm. And then when I think about if it were in a city like Anaheim, it would just be like, well, I'm going there for the con, right. And then the weather will still be way better than it is here in Florida, but it won't be quite as good as San Diego. But yeah, I don't know. But it's not going to do that anytime soon. Like I said,
no.
If I'm correct, if I have my information correct, I'm pretty sure they're contracted through 2021. So we've at least got three more cons in San Diego. Minimally. And next year, I believe, is the 50th anniversary.
Next year is 50.
So next year will be crazy. And you and I probably will not be there for that. So Bobby and Yasha most likely will be, but not us. So, yep. Oh, well.
I still had a nice time.
I still had a great time.
I'm very happy with my con.
And I love the scooter rentals. It was nice.
Oh, yeah. San Diego, you and your scooters. I'm a fan.
That's a whole, we could talk about that for a while too, because that's definitely a divisive subject. A lot of people
oh my God.
are not fans of the whole dockless shareable scooters and bikes.
It's a big thing.
And I know it's a big thing in like cities like San Francisco and such, but this was the first time I've been to a city that has them. Mm-hmm. And I was all for it. Dude,
I'm not gonna lie to you. After the first 30 seconds on one of those, I was like, that's it. I'm sold. This is it. This is awesome.
You were able, there's definitely times where you and I wanted to get from one point to another that was, you could walk it, but it was too far to walk. But it was also I guess we could get a Lyft or an Uber, but it's just it's not that far.
You feel silly.
I mean, I've done it before. I've gotten Lyfts or Ubers for very short distances, but they're, just because they're too far to walk. But I mean, at the same time, with the scooter, it was perfect.
Oh my God, it was magical.
We were able to get from point A to point B in a really quick amount of time at a very minimal cost, and it was fun.
Very minimal cost.
Especially considering it's perfect in a city like that because the weather's great. You're not riding around on a scooter in the heat.
The wind's blowing through your hair. You got the nice sea breeze.
Anyway,
sun-kissed skin. It was lovely.
I was a big fan.
I'm way down with the scooters. I think I'm even more down with scooters than you are, and you're a big fan. And I am. I sing their praises. I think they're amazing. I think they're a godsend. Now the bikes are a little bit different.
Just because the bikes take up more space.
I think the bicycles are just so much bigger and bulkier. The bikes take up more space,
and they're not motorized. You're
actually biking.
You're having to pedal. But the scooters, you're not even having to work. You're just riding around the street.
The scooters are like magic, my friends.
So anyway, that was our San Diego Comic-Con. 2018.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
It's in the can.
On to the next one, which is Dragon Con in about a month. And I will say, we talked a lot about Dragon Con, you and I, on this podcast.
We have.
And for those who have not been to Atlanta for Dragon Con, but you're con goers, but maybe this is one you haven't done yet, I've said it a million times before, I'll say it again, you should do it.
It is fun.
It is very different from any other con I've been to. Oh, yes. And it is still very just grounded, and it is very fan run.
Oh, dude.
It is not a commercialized con at all.
No.
And it's great. I can't recommend it enough. But I was going to say, we've talked a lot about it on this podcast and on the website, but I think this year, for the first year, we're still trying to work this out, but I think we're going to try to do some coverage there, actually shoot some video there.
Yeah.
And maybe record a podcast or two while we're there.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to have more of a Flickr effect kind of presence at Dragon Con this year.
I'm planning to.
Just to kind of even show more of guys, this is what we've been talking about here. Look at it.
This is how much fun this is. This is how cool this is.
You should do this. It's fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's very fan based. It is, this is grassroots fan based right here. And it's awesome. It's really great. They are into their thing, and everybody applauds everyone else for being into their thing.
Yeah.
And I'm talking not just film and TVs. I'm talking gaming, LARPing, cosplay. The possibilities are endless here. If you are a nerd of anything and the thing in the world, it's probably there.
It's a big cosplay convention of all things.
It's a huge cosplay convention.
For all the things that they have, if you had to give kind of one description for Dragon Con, cosplay is big at Dragon Con. And that reminds me, one quick last thing, and since we need to wrap this up, that was one thing in San Diego this year, or at least from my perspective, there was not a lot of cosplay this year.
I think there was,
at least there was some, there's no doubt, and I even took some video of some, but it was lacking.
It was severely lacking. And I say that because we were out more on Saturday, which is traditionally a big cosplay day.
Yeah.
And I know that because the last 2 years, you guys have been in Hall H and I've been out in the city. And it's a huge cosplay day. And we were out in the city on Saturday after the Warner Brothers panel, and it was not really happening, kids. It was kind of disappointing. And it's sad to see that that's kind of dying off a little bit in that city for that con. I kind of get it, but it's still kind of sad because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I haven't really... A lot of times after con, I'll go on YouTube and watch some of the... it's popular to do the kind of cosplay music video kind of YouTube videos like Sneaky Zebra and a couple others. And I haven't really kind of gone to look for those yet to see if there's any out there yet. I'm kind of curious to watch. I'm like, so what cosplay did I miss? Because I really didn't see them.
I feel like the ones that we saw were the highlights.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you filmed them.
I filmed some. And I kind of planned on going out and filming a lot more. And I think I just kind of killed those plans, and I was like, I'm just not seeing much.
We tried to on Saturday. That was actually our plan. Basically, was go eat lunch and go film cosplay, and that didn't really happen.
No. So anyway, it was a good con.
It was a good con.
Thanks for joining me, Michelle. It was a good time.
Thanks for having. It was a good time.
We did. I mean, I know Bobby and Yash aren't here, and we, they were there. We did see them in San Diego.
We did.
They both had badges for Thursday.
And Bobby had Sunday.
And they have a video up on YouTube on our Flickr Effect page, so you can watch that about what they experienced on Thursday. And Bobby came back and was there Sunday as well. And we did our traditional end of con lunch at a restaurant that we always go to, and that was fun. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we did see those guys, and it sounds like they'll most likely be there, probably the full experience next year.
Yep.
But yeah, with that. Anything else, Michelle, that I'm forgetting that you would like to?
I think we've covered almost everything.
I think we've done San Diego.
We have.
We'll
talk about James Gunn later this week.
Oh yeah, we're definitely not getting to that. We'll talk about that with the other two guys. That's
Oh no, it's a good one. That's good gossip. Anyhow.
That was one that we're not gonna talk about it, but I got that news when I was in the press cage, and I'm looking at my phone going, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening?
And it's funny because it was like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking over the press cage because it was like right in between panels, in between people coming on stage. And almost simultaneously, I feel like everybody in the Hall H and the press cage kind of all did this whole weird zoom out, zoom in with their phone, because I think everybody was reading the same stuff off Twitter and whatnot. And everybody was going, wait, what the hell? And it was like, let me tell you, we walked out of Hall H for lunch. That's what happened. We went to lunch, and we're at lunch at the Hilton, and that everybody was abuzz with this news. It was
that was crazy.
Discussion.
We'll talk about it with the guys this week when we talk about Mission Impossible Fallout.
Mm-hmm. Teaser for next week.
So as we mentioned at the top of the show, make sure to check us out on all of our other pages like YouTube and such. You can just search for Flickr Effect, with the exception of Twitter. Flickr_Effect is where you'll find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you as well. You can reach out to us on Twitter, or you can email us at feedback@flickreffect.com. You can send us questions or comments. Maybe we'll talk about them on the air, mention them on the air. And with that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening, everybody.